Hi, I'm Aimee. I'm in grade 11, and over the past few years, my process has shifted and progressed. I'd like to discuss how I've changed as a person and how that has changed the way I make and think about art. When I started my first series of paintings in grade 9, I had the idea of preserving my memories and emotions to keep them from changing. I wanted to capture moments that I didn't want to forget by rendering them on canvas. My paintings were focused on light, shadows, and texture to convey a feeling of nostalgia and intimacy. I was experimenting with different ideas and trying to figure out what I liked. Coming from a family of artists, I spent most of my childhood surrounded by art, whether that was in galleries or just spending time making things alongside my parents. The way that I think about art is heavily influenced by the way my parents think about it, and it can be really interesting, helpful, but also difficult to have artist parents because sometimes it's hard to separate their ideas from my own. In grade 9, basically everything I knew about making art was from my parents, so that was the beginning of figuring things out on my own. As I progressed to grade 10, my life changed in many ways, and my art reflected that too. Instead of trying to prevent change, I started documenting my experiences through my work. I pivoted from the paintings I was doing, took the biggest structure I could find, and began a new sort of painting. I wanted this one to show a transformation because that's how I felt at the time. I think many of the ideas I had also morphed and changed over the year it took me to finish it. Using this painting, I documented many aspects of my life and spent many hours in the hall of Cap painting. That's when I started to find ways I prefer to work. Something about my process is that when I'm coming up with ideas or writing in my sketchbook, it's great to be in the studios and around with friends. But when it's time to get stuff done, I need to go somewhere by myself because I get too distracted, which is why it takes me so long to make bigger works. Sometimes I can get a bit lonely by myself, but I really can't do things with other people around. I find it hard to work in a cramped space too, which is the biggest reason I had to stay in the hall, because the structure I was using took up so much space. Through my painting night swimming, I concluded that everyone is always constantly changing, and that's a fact, but it doesn't have to be scary. I painted myself as a selkie to show transformation. I wanted to show a narrative where information is withheld, and the movement and story are reminiscent of my favorite childhood books. If grade 9 was about preservation and grade 10 was about transformation, this year has been particularly challenging for me to figure out where to go in art, but also more specifically, where I might go after high school. I've been thinking more about my future and what I want to do with my life. Trying to make something incredible and life-changing can be overwhelming, and it often makes you stuck, as I learned from my experience. But then in photography, Mr. Novak reminded me that you don't have to make something life-changing if you just try to make something that you're interested in. We did an exercise where we wrote down things that are important to us, things that we're passionate about, and things we spend most of our time doing. Originally, when we did this, I wasn't very serious, and I didn't think much about it, but later on, when I revisited it, it helped me realize that I should focus on creating art that aligns with my interests and passions, and that maybe my interests and passions could be the answer to some of the bigger questions I had about my future. Ms. Hamilton advised me to diversify my portfolio by trying out different mediums and styles, and that's how I started experimenting with oils and lino printing. Lino holds a sentimental value for me because ever since I was little, me and my sister have been making them every year for our Christmas gifts. Recently, I've been fascinated with biology and marine life, and that's what I've been painting. I've been exploring themes of sentimentality, growth, and adaptability through my art. For instance, I've been making prints of potato bugs, which belong to the larger family of isopods. I was interested in their adaptability and resilience, and how they live in all kinds of terrains. I wanted to capture their symbolism, and I made a terrarium to observe them closely and learn about their behavior. This past year, it has grown a lot, and they've taken up the full job. As I think more about my future, I've been leaning farther into marine biology or marine science. While being in the ESA art program, it has been hard to balance science, which I also love. Thinking about choosing post-secondary programs and whether they will be science or art focused is really hard, but maybe it's okay to not completely know for now and to just try to keep making art about the things that I love. In conclusion, I'm grateful for all the experiences that have shaped me as an artist. I've learned that art is not just about creating something beautiful, but about expressing yourself and connecting with the world around you. Thank you.